Good morning.
It's going live. So what should you... Yeah, no, fuck no.
Oh, am I there?
I thought about making you set it up, and then I was like...
I don't know how to do that. So.
I just don't trust you. But it's all recording and live, so... I don't like that.
But the place is haunted. Ah!
Try turning yours down. Or mine down. It's one.
Ah?
Fixed?
Fixed.
I don't know.
Fixed.
Okay, now mine's too quiet. You can tell. By the lights.
Fixed.
Slightly higher.
Fixed.
Okay, look.
Fixed.
Talk in yours.
Ma.
Can you see where the lights are going?
Yes.
Right, now try getting my lights close to that. There. Yeah. Okay.
There.
That works.
That works.
Papa, goodness me, you're not ready.
Okay. I would like on radio now to just say that whatever the Southwestern Rail people want, let them have it. I no longer care. If they've asked for 80 new trains, I don't give a fuck.
Give it to them.
Give it to them, because I cannot live like this.
Is it strikes? Is that what's happening? I don't think I can hear anything. I think it's just like...
Can I hear things? I can hear things.
Oh,
no, I can't.
once.
That's just the room. No, that's just the room.
Okay, well, I think we're all fine.
I like that we do this engaging content on radio. This is the...
Yeah, well, I'm always worried that if we don't do it soon enough, people will be like, oh, the horror. What about this one? Okay, maybe I could hear it on the other one. Maybe I
This is content.
I can hear it on the
There we
other
go.
one.
Okay, this is content.
It's just very quiet.
So,
but that's fine.
Emily, Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas.
It's the Christmas episode.
I don't want a love
for Christmas.
I really feel like I'm about to put down a sick beat with this mic. Look at this.
This is good. It's good, that one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just have this terrifying
The one I
dildo looking
normally
motherfucker.
Shh. You're swearing. It's the Lord's birthday soon. Oh, you dear.
Right, are we ready? This week, I did some research.
Yay!
Because it was Christmas.
I don't like this seat.
Do you not like it?
This person's a lot taller than I am.
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah.
Okay. And because it's my week, I have written an intro.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Is it bad?
I mean, it's...
Does it start with Jesus?
It does.
Yes.
My sole purpose of doing this is I need to make Emily crack as many times as possible.
We should also check that it is going live, because I didn't technically check. But
Is Catherine listening?
My mother isn't. She's at a massage, so no, she can't.
Okay, we only have Catherine then.
Okay, lol.
I'll ask if we're live. It's like echoing, so I presume we're
I
live.
assume so.
Okay.
But
Are we
I
ready?
can't prove it.
I'm just going to do my
I hope
intro.
it's recording as well.
I think it looks like it is.
I sorted it all out.
I'm glad, but if this isn't recording, then I'm upset that our meandering conversation hasn't been broadcast to the nation.
I know.
It's upsetting.
Anyway.
Jesus. Big J.
Oh.
Daddy.
You should. Oh, this is.
You may know him as 1/3 of the cosmic energy that governs all things, or the one that stops Catholics from masturbating.
Oh my god. Oh, we're gonna get sued by the Pope.
He was actually a dude. He wasn't a made-up story in a book.
We know this.
Emily.
Yes.
What do you know about Jesus?
I know a lot about Jesus. I don't think we should start
But
there.
we're not talking about Jesus in the Bible. We're talking about what we know.
I know the fact he was most likely... he was obviously Jewish.
Yes.
Most likely of, Middle Eastern ethnicity, I believe.
Yes.
Because there was a whole period where they were like, he was black, and then they were like, okay, he wasn't black.
Wasn't black.
But that was fun for a while.
He wasn't white.
He wasn't white.
That's the important thing. White
about.
Jesus is a myth.
I know he really did exist. Some people think he was a king, which is odd. But I don't mean as in the king. I mean some people think he was like a Roman
king.
general, he pissed off the Roman generals by pretending to be a king. But
Caesar.
yeah, well, I know that much. There's a lot. I know a lot.
Well, this is the thing. I have been on many pages of the internet, and I have decided, me personally,
Yes.
by reading one historian.
Yes. The Jesus is real.
No,
Our Lord and
Jesus is
Saviour.
real. Jesus is real, but we only agree on technically three things, but two things.
Okay.
We know as much as okay, I've written down 96.4% sure. We're 96.4% sure he was a dude. Because, I don't know.
He
Pete
was a
Sumter.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
well, that's
pretty sure.
Pretty.
We're as sure
That's
as we
good.
can be.
That's
but
good.
all we know for certain
Yeah.
is that he was baptized by John the Baptist and he was
Okay.
crucified by Pontius Pilate.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
That's
well.
all we got.
In
And-
which case, the Bible very accurate so
Then,
far.
well, to be fair, by extension, he was definitely born. So we know those three events happened. Whether or not there was a virgin birth or he was reborn, it is not recorded by history.
I've told you about my spiritual advisor's theory on that. which is
Well, I
why-
actually left space for Emily tells her horrifying Jesus story.
Oh, really?
So-
Go on by the... I won't mention his name because I don't want to get him, excommunicated. But my lovely spiritual advisor...
They'll be able to track it from that. They'll be like, who is the spiritual advisor? The Catholic Church is listening. We said Jesus and now they're listening.
Well, he once asked me, do you think Mary was really a virgin? And I was like, being me, I was like, I don't like to commit to anything. And he said, well, because I don't. And I was like, this is controversial.
It's controversial.
And he was like, yeah, I believe that Mary was probably raped by a Roman soldier on the way home, and it was so shameful that they decided to call it a virgin birth, and that Joseph was probably considering leaving her because she was like spoiled goods. But then the angel came down and said, Joseph, don't be like that.
Does that make God the Roman soldier?
No, it means that what his theory is that God chose her.
He picked a fetus at random.
Yeah, he picked that fetus and decided because Mary was her life was about to be ruined, so he chose.
If only every time that happened, God
I know.
stepped in and gave us a Messiah. That would be,
There'd be too many.
that would be a lot
It would
of
be
misery.
like Neil Gaiman's American Gods.
It would.
when
We'd
they're
have
at
a
the
load
Easter
of
party.
messiahs running around.
Yeah. Anyway, you continue.
So, there is basically there's one dude called Thalos, okay?
Thanos.
Not Thanos, it's two L's. Thalos.
Thalos,
He's
okay.
Roman. Well, he's not Roman. In the year 55. And he wrote
That
a
is
bit.
Roman. That is Roman.
Yeah, in the year 55, and he wrote a bit being like, this is everything we know about Jesus. And he wasn't a Christian, and he was just working off reports. So we've gone with that, meaning that Jesus is real.
Cool.
Unfortunately, Thanos' history is lost.
Good.
But it was cited by
The Catholic Church
Sextus
got it.
Julius Africanus.
Oh, I know him.
And he was writing in 220, and he cited that history.
Yes, I know him.
But we lost that one as well.
Good.
But then we found someone else before it was lost, called long Byzantine name.
Okay, no, give it to me.
Georgius,
No.
it's this one, Sicelius?
Show me.
Georgius Sincelius or something.
Georgius Sincellus. Yeah. Sincellus.
George.
If you're pronouncing Latin the way it should be pronounced, then Sincellus. But some people say Sincellus, and they'd be wrong.
So George comes along, and George cites it.
Okay.
So we have got, the
George.
best we have is a citation of someone who wasn't there.
Okay. Da-ba-da-ba-ba.
But apparently it turns I was reading this thing being like, that's about as close as we get in classical history.
Nice. Yeah, that pretty much is.
Pretty much is. So when was Jesus born?
Right. Not in the year zero. The year zero doesn't exist, fun fact.
Mm.
You knew that,
Does it
right?
not?
No.
Did we go straight from 1 BC
yeah,
to
you
1
go
AD?
from 1 BC to 1 AD. The year zero is a myth and it doesn't exist.
Aw.
So
that's
Jesus
upsetting.
was not born in the year zero. I believe
She's
he
very
was
clever, she
born
was.
something like 3?
It was, well, it's anywhere between 4 and 6.
Yeah. So, like, I knew it wasn't... Yeah. Because they just got his age wrong.
Can you imagine that on a birth certificate? Can you imagine, like, the 5th of July? Oh.
I don't think they had birth certificates.
Okay, they didn't have
I don't
birth
think a
certificates.
carpenter in the
They might
middle
have
of...
put in his birthday card.
Where
they might
is
have
Bethlehem? What country is that now?
Not sure.
Is it to Iraq? Isn't it something like Iran or Iraq? Because
think
Top
it's
Gear
something
went there,
like
didn't
that.
they? I'm basing all my knowledge off Top Gear's episode where
Where's
they recreate.
Bethlehem?
Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
They recreated the nativity.
Oh, it's in Israel.
That
makes
in Israel. Okay.
So it's in Israel.
Very sorry.
So Jesus is there, hanging out in Israel that isn't Israel yet.
Yeah.
Having been born.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think we called it the year zero? Why do you think everyone thinks he was born in the year zero?
But the year zero doesn't exist.
Yes, I know, but why do you think everyone thinks that?
Because you have before Christ and Anno Domini.
Yeah, but where did the year come from? So, like...
What do you mean?
What I mean is basically, in 5...
Why did they make Anno Domini?
Exactly.
Okay.
Basically, in 525,
Yeah.
some dude, Dionysius?
Oh, Dionysus.
Dionysius Exiguus.
Oh, give it here.
That one.
Someone who didn't
can't do
read
Latin.
the Roman mysteries as a child. Dionysus Exiguus.
Exiguus.
Oxyguus or something.
Who knows?
It's fine. It's close enough.
He was busy calculating when all the Easters were going to be.
Right.
Because he was sat there in 525 and realised that no one had counted when all the Easters were going to be, and he got very panicky. He was like, what if Easter is on the wrong day? So he was busy, he basically spent a lot of years writing out for years and years when all the Easters were going to be.
Isn't Easter to do with the moon?
Something
Which
like-
really
I don't
confuses
know
me.
how
Why
they
didn't
did.
they have the date of when he died?
So why did
We
he...
picked a date for his birth.
This
Pick
is
a
the
date
thing.
for his death.
This is the thing. So he was there
Right.
writing out
Yeah.
like all the Easters and was like, hang on a minute.
Mm-hmm.
If I take this Easter and count backwards,
Oh.
I'll be able to work
And he
it
got
out.
it wrong.
And he got it so wrong because he
5 out of
based
6
it.
years.
He based it on he based it on that Easter.
Yeah.
He knew Jesus was about 30 when he started preaching, and he knew roughly when that was, and so he just counted forward from that to the crucifixion, and then counted all the way back to
Yeah.
when roughly Jesus was born,
Yeah.
and that's what we've used for 2,000 years.
I mean, it's not ideal.
It's
But when all of your sources have been destroyed, and you've
It's
got
525.
you've got
In
a church
525,
looking at
there's
you.
a book all about it that he just didn't read.
To be fair, I think we shouldn't be mean to the man because he clearly created our calendar. Then you don't let him
Calendar
live.
isn't for ages, is it?
No, well, what would you call the Anno Domini BC stuff?
That's not the kind of. Is they doing the Julian calendar at that point?
I mean, yeah,
The
but that's not my
Gregorian calendar
point.
isn't
My
used.
point is, like, what do you call that then? AD? Because I was just saying that was part of the
I
calendar.
have no idea.
But anyway, he appeared to invent BC and AD.
I think he must have invented BC and AD.
Did I tell you about what the one of the girls at my church said the other day?
No.
So I was sat there in Sunday school. I'm a Sunday school teacher, if you didn't know. And I was chatting to
Emily
them.
indoctrinates people.
I was chatting to them about the meaning behind BC and AD.
Mm.
And I was like, before Christ, and Anno Domini, which is Latin for the year of our Lord. When I was little, sub-tangent, when I was little, I used to think it meant after death, in a really morbid thing. Yeah, but it doesn't. I mean,
I was convinced of this.
Yeah.
And more to the point, I was very confused by it
Yeah.
because there must have been time between the death and the crucifixion that were like, what are those years for? What are...
I hadn't even thought about that.
DL,
As a
during
child,
that.
I was like, he was born in 0 and he died in 0.
That doesn't make any sense.
But anyway, so like, yeah, so I was explaining this, and she was like, oh yeah, like before Christ existed and Christ existed. And I was like, no, that's the whole point of those.
Genius!
The whole point of BC and CE is that it's before Common Era and after, and like Common Era. It's not like
Oh no, sorry.
they're secular.
I really like before Christ existed and after Christ existed. That's amazing.
I was like, what? My brain exploded.
That's brilliant.
And I was like, do you go to a CVE school? Because she was like, that's what my teacher taught me. She was like, no. And I was like, teachers sometimes just aren't qualified to say
Not even
things.
though they're sometimes they just say things without
And it's
any backing.
wrong. They could at least Google it. But anyway, it really bothered me. Carry on with
That's horrific. So Jesus has been born. Well done.
Well done, Mary.
And then, actually, interestingly, that history I was talking about, the one that was written in 55,
Yeah.
did make reference to the virgin birth.
Oh, interesting.
It was like, oh, we've heard he is born of virgins. And everyone was like, weird. We should kill that guy. And they did.
Weird. He was born a virgin. Can Catherine hear it, by the way?
I think so.
You didn't show me. Now I'm concerned.
She responded. You're live. Yay!
Yay!
all of this is being
Love you,
broadcast.
Catherine.
Thanks, Catherine.
Now I can do what like Rob usually does to my mother, like, "Hi, Catherine."
So, Jesus has been born.
Yes.
He's busy being a carpenter. We lose track of him while he's a carpenter.
Well,
because,
okay.
for understandable reasons.
Okay, so does the temple, is that when Jesus goes to the temple, is that historic or is that biblical?
When he gets baptized? Or
No.
Which one?
So when his mother loses him... Okay, so there's a really funny story in the Bible.
Everything that happens between Jesus' birth and Jesus being baptized.
Oh, right, we have no record of.
No record
Okay,
of.
well then there's a real funny story in the Bible if you haven't heard of it.
I have left little gaps being like, Emily will tell biblical stories at roughly this point.
You know, when Mary goes to the temple with Jesus...
Catherine says love you too.
No, because it's like a big thing, you know? Going to the... I forget why. I think it might be because of or Seder or something like that. You know, which Seder is like Passover for the Jews. Anyway, she goes there with Joseph and Jesus, and Jesus goes off to talk to the rabbis and has this really important discussion with them. And Mary gets halfway to Bethlehem, and then he's like, "Where is my son?"
Home alone.
And then she goes all the way back to the temple, and she's like, "Jesus, where were you? I am so angry right now." And he just says, "Woman, I was in my father's house." And she's like, "Excuse me?" How pissed off would you be as a mother if your son was like, "I am in my celestial father's house"? How dare you? I'd be
More
angry.
to the point, I'd be there praying, being like, "I left him with you for 5 minutes." Goes talking to rabbis.
Oh my goodness. But very funny.
Oh. So, maybe stuff happened. Maybe he fights a dragon.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
And then we know he's baptized. And do you know why we know he's baptized?
Because John the Baptist wrote about it?
Not because John the Baptist wrote about it. It's apparently called the criteria of embarrassment. And basically what it is because the Bible admits that Jesus is baptized of sin, and he's supposed to be sinless.
Yeah.
They can't have made it up. Because they wouldn't have made that up. They'd have made up something better. So all the stuff where we're pretty sure happened is because we can't imagine that they'd have made that up.
Okay, but I mean, I imagine that the Catholic Church go around from this is that, no one knew he was the Son of God yet. So of course they got him baptized.
I think the thing
Why
about
would you not?
Him going up to John the Baptist, he just goes up to John the Baptist like, "I need to be baptized." And he's, at this point, presumably, John. And he's like, John is just like, "Excuse me?"
Well, he already had a reputation, I think, for baptizing people. My question, was John the Baptist the first person to baptize people?
Yes.
Because, I was going to say, because I'm pretty sure that the Jewish people don't baptize
No, this
people.
is the thing. This is what I mean. Jesus came up and was like, "I need to be baptized." And the line of John the Baptist is like, "What is this? I am but John." And
Yes,
he's like,
yes,
"No,
yes,
you
no,
are
I know
not
that one.
the Baptist."
I think, because he counts himself not worthy to...
Yeah, so he has to be... had water
And then
put on his
Jesus
head.
has a freak out. Do you know that bit?
Is this the bit... No, what's that bit?
So this is before Jesus has fully accepted his role, which is why it's not that weird. That
Is
he
this the
gets
water
baptized.
into wine thing? 'Cause that was before.
No,
he was
that
supposed
was
to be
before.
Jesus.
That was in Galilee.
Okay.
I think Galilee. It might be
usually
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it begins with a G. Anyway, no. So as John the Baptist baptizes him, Jesus has this vision of a dove coming down from the sky. And it's like God going, "My son," basically. And he freaks out and runs away. It's like a very good story. No one talks about that bit.
When do you think, roughly, in terms of years, Jesus was baptized?
So we're saying he was born around 4 to 6.
So it's between 4 and 6.
He was quite old, I think. But
This is he gets baptized and starts preaching, and he starts preaching around the age of 30.
yeah. So I'd say late 20s. So maybe
It's 28 to 29.
Yeah.
And the reason why we can't work it out, because the Bible gives a date. The Bible says the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius Caesar.
Yes.
Which you think would be easy. However, as it turns out, the start of the reign of Tiberius Caesar could be anywhere between 11 and 14. Because
So really, the Christians did a good job at establishing
Christians
dates,
did- yeah.
and the Romans,
the Romans forgot to record when people actually started.
which is
ruling.
very un-Roman.
It's very un-Roman, but basically the difference is whether or not we're counting the start of his reign when he became co-regent in 11, or when the predecessor of him died in 14.
Oh, is Tiberius the one in the year of the four emperors?
think so. No,
Or is he
he
just
goes on
before?
because it's the 15th year. So
Is he just before?
I don't know. This is the year 14.
Because, like, I know that from my thank you, Caroline Lawrence, Roman Mysteries knowledge. I know that I think in around when Vesuvius exploded, which I think was something like 79, AD 79, or it's 72. Okay, there's a 7. Like, it's like that's Titus, and after Titus is Domitian, the weird one, the one that's in Gladiator.
Yes.
Okay, but before Titus you have Vespasius, and Vespasian or something, and before him you have the year of the four emperors, which is Trajan, and his column.
Yeah.
So that must be what the 50s. So it's not that the 50s. It's not that long after Jesus.
No.
So I'd imagine it's quite close.
It's pretty close.
Which is whack when you think about it.
It's kind of weird that you forget that like the Roman Empire is happening at the same time.
Like Vesuvius exploded not that long after Jesus was crucified.
Maybe it was linked.
But I think about them. For some reason I think about Jesus as a lot after that. Like,
No, I'm way before. This
You're
is the
going
thing.
way before?
I feel in my head Jesus happens and then the Roman Empire happens, which doesn't make
oh
any
no,
sense.
in my head the Roman Empire happens and then Jesus appears. And Jesus is like the downfall. But he's not at all.
Not at all. Happens in the middle. Also, I've got a break in here because
Yeah.
I went looking for confirmed miracles. I went looking for like people being like, yes, the loaves and the fishes happened, or
Unlikely.
No, but like people historians telling the story.
Confirmed is like them in the Bible, Peter. He definitely walked on water.
Well, I found the feeding of the 5,000.
Yeah.
Which is kind of reported on in the Romans, but only in the terms of the Jewish won't stop talking about it. So none of the Romans saw it. It's just the Jewish people being like, did you hear? Jesus has been feeding people. And that's something.
Do I trust the Jews more than the Romans? Yes.
I don't know.
Yes. I do.
Given that the Romans apparently can't record years.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying, like the what's it called? Not academic. But like the intellectual history of the Jews is very, very impressive.
Very well recorded. They've done very well.
Yeah. Their whole religion is based upon learning. I trust them.
But because I now have found out about the feeding of the 5,000, and it links to John the Baptist. Because the feeding of the 5,000...
Was John like, hey, did you hear?
No, John died.
Oh yeah, he had his head chopped off by the Romans.
John died. Jesus was like, John is dead. Goes away to an island to like process that.
Yeah.
And everyone follows him.
Imagine.
He's just got... He gets on a boat and he's like, don't follow me, guys. I'm going to go do some mourning for my friend John. And everyone's like, okay,
his
Jesus,
cousin,
we won't.
His cousin John.
And 5,000 people are like, but we could go. And they all show up on his island.
Do you know the bit about because John and Jesus don't first meet as like in the baptism, because his mother, right? So John's mother Elizabeth.
Yeah.
John is also a miracle baby according to the Bible. So John.
How many were there?
Not a virginal baby, but Elizabeth was too old to have children, and she was so pious that God gifted her with a son. And Elizabeth...
That's less of a miracle. That's a less impressive
I think
miracle.
Elizabeth was Mary's cousin, so John and Jesus are like second cousins.
Okay.
But Mary goes to visit Elizabeth, saying, I'm pregnant! And I'm a virgin! As you do. And basically, she goes to visit and pregnant. So baby Jesus in Mary's tummy, baby John in whatever. And basically John kicks the hell when he sees Jesus. Like, he's like, it's the Messiah, but in Elizabeth's womb. And that's when you get...
like two fetuses, like bound to be enemies. They were attacking each other.
He's like trying to like praise him or whatever. And that's when Mary does the famous like Magnificat, like my soul doth magnify the Lord. That's when she says it in the Bible.
That's the weirdest way. Sometimes things don't show up in the Bible, and that's good.
I quite like that story. Fetus John, just
Fetus
like,
John
yes.
going for it. But then, so like back on the 5,000 people, the
they were.
5,000 people show up, and Jesus is like, guys,
Yeah,
I told you not to follow me. And they're like,
yeah.
sorry, Jesus. So he just shows up and has, in one line, he says, and Jesus then healed their sick and did other miracles. And I was just like, are we just glossing over the fact that he just went along being like, well, you're not blind anymore, and you have a leg
I guess
again.
after a while, they're just like, you know what it did.
Exactly. But then, to feed the 5,000,
Yes.
Jesus said, how much what is it, like five loaves and 2 fishes?
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, we have 5,000 people, and the disciples are like, yes. And Jesus has split them
Yeah.
into 4 groups.
Oh. Those who get food.
No.
Those who get slaps.
Just split them into 4 groups, and then fed them in their 4 groups. And my question is, when you have 5,000 people, why did you not split them into 5 groups?
My question is, you're looking at 5,000 people, and you're like, oh yeah, seems as I'm going to feed them from the same stockpile anyway.
I
seems
need to
perfectly
spread them
logical
out.
to waste time counting. What
This
is that?
miracle doesn't work unless you're
1,250
in
people in
4
each group,
equal
please.
groups. He's
Madness.
like, we seem to be running out of bread. Who moved groups?
Can we talk
Who
about
swapped?
something that real bothers me? Which I hadn't thought about until this moment. Now
Yeah.
you told me that he was proper upset about John dying.
Yeah.
I thought he just sort of accepted it.
No, he was upset.
Okay, he was upset, right. He was also upset about Lazarus dying. Do you know the story of Lazarus?
Lazarus, he brought him back from the dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was that upset that it brought Lazarus back from the dead. Imagine being John the Baptist, his second cousin, a saint, and being like, that bitch didn't try to bring me back. What was special about Lazarus?
Fair point. But maybe he was like, you know that like, you only get one of these. He's like talking to fetus Jesus. And he's like, okay, you can heal as many sick as you want. You can feed 5,000 people, but only into 4 equal groups.
Oh, yes.
And you get one bringing back from the dead. And he's there and Lazarus is there. And he's like, I'm not going to outlive many people I know. Am I?
Huh?
I'll just do
I'm
it.
due to die
Yeah,
very soon.
I'll just do it now. And then John dies like, what, the week later? He's like, motherfucker.
Oh, no.
He's just looking at Lazarus like, you bastard.
I think Lazarus' sisters are called Martha and guess what? Mary. There's too many Marys.
There's so many Marys.
It comes from Miriam, though. Moses' sister was called Miriam.
That's very, very weird.
Why?
Well, Miriam and Mary don't feel like the same name.
Miriam, it's just like, it changes, doesn't it? Mary is not. I'm
Miriam
pretty
is
sure, like,
distinguished Mary.
the Virgin Mary would have been referred to as Miriam.
Really?
Mary is not a Jewish name. Miriam is the Jewish name. But Christians suck. So it became Maria.
And you can't pronounce things.
Yeah, we should still call it Maria. We didn't call it Mary at all. This is just English people being
I feel
weird.
like we don't like to end things in vowels. That's the...
Oh, God.
So, roughly,
Saint
based on all
Anna.
these dates, when do you think the crucifixion was?
He was like 33 in the crucifixion.
Mm-hmm.
Was he 33?
I don't know.
I'm pretty
one
sure
knows.
it's like 33.
So what year do we think it
I
is?
think the Bible says he's 33.
I think what the Bible says is 30s, but we're not sure.
I'm sticking with
You can
33.
go with 33. You can go with 33.
Sounds like a good
So
age to me.
what year do you think it is?
So if he was born in like, I'm gonna say like 37, maybe
It is.
37.
You managed to get just outside the boundary. It's anywhere between 30 and 36.
For fuck's sake.
Which means that
Yeah.
if we take the latter ends of this and say that he was born latest 6
Yeah.
and died in 30, he could have been 24.
It's young.
Which is also
Sad.
doesn't make any sense because he has to be preaching in his 30s.
I feel like we should all stop trying to do math. Just accept.
This is apparently how we do it. Basically, in order to work out anything about Jesus' life, you have to work from the baptism and work from the crucifixion. Those are the only 2 dates where we have some idea, because we can work from Passover.
Yeah, Seder.
So, we know, again, this is the embarrassment criteria. We know he was crucified because apparently that's a shit way to die.
Oh, it's a horrifying way.
It's a
It's where
horrifying
the
way to die.
slaves were killed by
Exactly.
crucifixion.
So, apparently Christians wouldn't have made that up because they'd have made up a cooler execution. They'd been like, and then he was placed in a giant orb on fire.
But do you know what, like, because it was supposed to mock him completely. Do you
Yeah.
know what INRI stands for?
No.
Let's see if I can get my Latin. It's like, because they had it in lots of different languages. It wasn't just written in Latin. We always see it INRI because the Catholic Church, but it was also written in Hebrew, and all this sort of thing. Greek, I think, as well. But it's Jesu Nazarathum Rex Judae.
For those of us who don't speak Latin.
Which means, I don't think that's correct Latin, but it's close enough. Which means Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews. Which is why they put the crown of thorns on it. It's like a mockery. You don't seem impressed by
Well,
my,
no, it's
my
very-
Latin.
It's very I get the whole crown of thorns thing. But of the things they made Jesus do that day, putting some spikes on your head wasn't so bad.
No, but it wasn't, that's what I mean. It wasn't really a torture. It was just like, it was torture. And it did
Okay.
hurt. But yeah, it was just supposed to make fun of him.
The Romans were very good at making fun of people.
They did a good
I think
job.
they built an
But then
empire.
an eclipse happened and it really
Yeah, well,
it really cemented
this is the thing.
cemented all their issues in one. Imagine the timing, the coinky dink. Imagine being the Roman soldier like, oh, for heaven's sakes.
This is the thing.
Well,
This
they
is
wouldn't
the
have said
thing.
heavens.
So,
For Juno's sake.
he's definitely crucified. Isaac Newton,
Yeah.
basically, we have the year 30 to 36 for years. And then Isaac Newton comes along and is like, guys, me and Newton will figure it out. Goes away for an hour.
Newton's very smart. I
He's
trust
very,
Newton.
very clever. Goes
Do you
away
know how
for
old
an
he was
hour.
when he discovered gravity?
No.
24.
That's very
I
impressive.
know, carry on.
So he goes away for like 3.5
Yeah.
hours, comes back and he says there are only 2 days it could have been on
Because of the eclipse.
because of Passover. The eclipse doesn't matter yet.
Okay, because of Passover.
Because of Passover. It's either the 7th of April in the year 30
Okay,
or the 3rd of April in the year 33.
okay.
Those are the only times where Passover happens on enough time so that we can have Good Friday so we can rise again on Sunday.
Right, okay.
So we only have those 2 dates. Then, in the sort of...
Thank you, Isaac Newton.
Thank you, Isaac
Sorry,
Newton.
thank you, Isaac.
Then, in the 60s and 70s,
Yeah.
a physicist named Colin Humphreys
Yeah.
and an astronomer named Graham Waddington basically
names,
showed that
both
there
of
is an
you.
eclipse. There
Yeah.
was an eclipse on the 3rd of April in 33, which is the second date.
Right, so it's
So
probably
everyone's
that
there,
one.
super perfect. Peter Statement, the mood went blood red, the confusion. His sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon
Yeah.
into blood before
Yeah.
the day of the Lord shall come. Which puts the
Wow,
resurrection...
because that's great. That's science, like, that's both, like, for atheists, they can be like, that explains it, and for Christians, they can be like, the prophecies.
Exactly. So the crucifixion
Yeah.
is on the 3rd of April, 33. The Last Supper is on the 1st of April. The resurrection's on the 5th.
Okay. But,
But we've looked in to the eclipse,
yeah.
and they couldn't see it in Jerusalem. It wasn't there.
That's so annoying.
Which I think is total proof that God missed.
I was
That's
gonna
my
say,
only explanation.
I was going to say maybe the eclipse... I mean, my Christian's brain, like, maybe the eclipse was going to happen anyway, but because they killed Jesus, God was like, well, this is going to be a world event.
Well,
Where
the-
would they have seen it?
They're like about 100 miles east.
Say Russia?
No, that's way north. But like, I think the
India?
other side of the Middle East.
India.
I'm somewhere around there.
Cambodia,
I don't know.
somewhere like that.
Like, I don't know.
Anyway, okay.
Somewhere that they couldn't see it.
My point is that maybe he just extended it.
Also, the other problem is that the eclipse only lasted for like 5 minutes, and he is specifically talking about an event that goes on for about 3 hours.
Wow.
But
I think at this point we might have to be like, miracle.
no. But in that area,
Yeah.
you do get sandstorms that blow up into the atmosphere and make the moon red.
Yeah.
So that's probably what it was.
That's probably what the problem.
But
that doesn't surprise
it does
me.
mean that we're back on. We don't know when it was. Until the same physicist, Colin, he dropped Graham.
Colin Humphreys.
Colin dropped
Graham was
Graham.
clearly holding him back.
Dropped Graham, and he was like, "No,
Okay.
I am right."
Oh.
Went away,
Oh.
did a whole analysis of like all the Passovers.
Oh.
Went away for years, and this is my problem. Okay,
Yeah.
is that physicists don't know when to stop.
Do you know, like, a surprising amount of physicists are actually Christians as well?
It's a surprise. It's a weird. It's a
because
weird thing in the sciences.
someone explained it to me. I think it might have been Father Paul explained it to me. He was like, they go so far into, and he wasn't so. I mean, obviously he was like, obviously God is real, but like, it's an interesting point. They go so far looking out and looking in, and they find all these patterns in and out
Yeah.
that their brains are like, someone's gotta have put them there, man. That doesn't, they go a little crazy.
See, there's an argument for that, and there's another argument that's just that they're real stubborn. I think you have to be real stubborn to get into physics. And so when you believe in a Jesus, you're just sticking with it. That's just I will not be dissuaded. So he goes away,
Yeah.
and I'm talking like I have put 5 question marks on the word maths because it was written down and it was so complicated that I have absolutely no
I'll
idea
have
how
you
he
know,
did
I
it.
have a D in A-level maths. Hit me with it,
And
boy.
somehow
Yeah.
he comes back. He comes back after years of study
Yeah.
with the same date,
Yeah.
the 3rd of April, 33,
Mm-hmm.
at 3 p.m.
And did everyone concur?
No, no one agreed. No.
Well,
Everyone was like, all of this maths you have based on is half based on scripture, which maths doesn't lend itself to, and half based on eclipses that we now know that they couldn't have seen. But that's the best we've got.
3 p.m.
3 p.m.
Sounds like a good time for an execution.
If you were going to be executed, would you want it to be at 3 p.m.?
Yeah, because that's after the midday heat. I
I
would.
think it's still hot. This is the thing.
It's still hot, but it's not 1 p.m.
How
hot.
long are you alive on the cross?
Hours and hours.
See, that's that you do therefore.
He bled
want
out.
it to-
He was 3 hours, wasn't it? He died after 3 hours.
Yeah, because he gets stabbed to the side.
Yeah, he bled out.
Is that a mercy killing or is that like a dad
It was a
thing?
mercy killing.
Yeah, because he gets speared, doesn't he, by a Roman?
Yeah, I think the Roman felt bad for him.
I mean, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I believe that's the story anyway. Please don't at me if I'm wrong. But I was told that it was like, yeah, the Roman was like, oh, I'll just stab you.
This has been pretty horrific
Yeah.
as a day.
Pretty much. What do we know about the thieves either side of him?
We don't know
Are they
anything
real?
about the thieves. We'd also, I looked. We don't know where the crosses were, which I would have thought we could have worked. We know like the city, but I would have
Just
thought
ask
like
the Catholic Church where they got those splinters from.
exactly.
Huh?
They'll be like,
Pope
I inherited
Francis?
this from somewhere.
Huh? You had the Vatican record.
But this is the, like, can you imagine, like, if you found like the exact square footage, you'd put a little rope around it, and you'd be like, Jesus was crucified here, and it would like.
I mean, completely unrelated, but you've just reminded me of something. Do you know where, like, the Führer bunker is in Germany?
No.
Do you know how they memorialise it now?
No, I don't.
They don't. It's under a car park.
No. Yes,
And
I
do you know
heard
what the
this.
car park is next to?
Is it a Tesco?
The Holocaust Memorial.
Oh,
So it's the car park for the Holocaust Memorial.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
And all the streets around it are named after Jewish women who were persecuted by the Nazis.
I like that.
I like
That's
it too.
good.
But there's no plaque or anything.
That's probably for the best.
Yeah.
Well, the Russians destroyed it, didn't they?
The Führer bunker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
But
came
there's
in and
no
burned it.
plaque even saying like here was where the
For
Führer bunker.
the best.
They were just like, no, we're going to build a car park over
We're going to build the Holocaust.
which I
Museum
think
there.
was brilliant.
Who said the Germans don't have a sense of humour? That's brilliant. That's
Right, anyway, sorry, that just reminded me of it.
Well, because I was like, okay, that's a sort of roundabout way to looking into
Yeah.
research. And then I found a new piece of interesting Wikipedia diving,
Uh-huh.
which is a whole page about people challenging the mental health of Jesus.
Oh, no.
Because having decided...
This isn't a good idea.
Well, no, but having decided... It's what is interesting are the people who like, looked into it.
Oh.
Because...
Was it Rousseau? Because I'm
It
so
wasn't
done
Rousseau.
with Rousseau.
It was Friedrich Nietzsche.
Of course it was. I was close.
And he basically said that Jesus was mentally immature the whole of his life, and he just kept thinking of
It's always the same three culprits. It's Freud, Nietzsche, or Voltaire.
Yeah, and I think Freud and Nietzsche were both involved in thinking.
So there you go. You have Rousseau and Voltaire are the French slightly early ones, and then you have Freud and Nietzsche. But both groups are annoying. And they just they say things to me. They're the equivalent of like edgy kids now. Where they're like, what if Jesus was mentally unhinged?
What if he was crazy? But there was one. Apparently, they're basing it mostly off one quote, which is John basically being like, no, it was.
Oh, so they're basing it off a scripture quote,
yeah,
are they?
a scripture quote where basically someone was like, no, it wasn't even John.
Because that's allowed.
It was some of the Jews were like, he hath a demon and is mad. Why do you listen to him? And then Jesus presumably came along.
Well,
and was like,
obviously the Jewish elders were going to be like, this man's crazy. Obviously they weren't going to be pro it. Are the Jews still waiting for the Messiah? They are, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah.
Any day now. Any day.
What if the second coming and their Messiah happens at the same day? It's just two people like, excuse me. Like, this is my day, I booked this.
That's not even that. It's just like, okay, so we're going to have to like split up, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, wouldn't that work perfectly? Like, Jesus comes and gets all the Christians, the Messiah goes and gets all the Jews.
I think people would be like, a lot of people would be real angry that Jesus would go presumably back to the Middle East. And
Yeah, I imagine he would.
All the Europeans would just be like, I don't want to go over there and come to Italy. We built temples to you, piece of shit.
I mean, he's got to choose a denomination.
Can you like, yeah, I think that's the thing though. That's what
I don't
Jesus
think
did
Anglicanism's going to get chosen.
I think this is what Jesus did last time. Jesus came in and made his own denomination. Screw all of you.
Excellent. I'm here for Jesus' denomination.
I'm here for the second coming where he comes, no. This time we're doing something totally different. We have to tear down all the temples.
Yes,
and rebuild
I'm
everything.
here. Let's tear down the temples.
The Vatican is flattened and we have to be like, okay.
Can you imagine?
The new centre of religious piety is Hull. And it just has to be like...
Okay, anywhere but Hull. Jesus, anywhere but Hull. I'm quite happy to move to the Middle East. As long as Jesus is there.
I don't think we'd have to move. I think we could go and visit.
I probably will have to go and visit at some point.
You would, yeah.
Most Christians go and get, like, dunked in the River Jordan.
Makes sense.
I hear it's disgusting, though.
I mean, it's not the best.
Like, you have to close your eyes and hold your mouth and hold your nose. Because if any of it gets in you, you're, like...
Typhoid.
Yeah. And then you have to go shower immediately.
That surely defeats the point. Do you imagine Jesus there being baptised by John and being like, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah. Well, in those days, like, all water sort of looked like that. But,
yeah.
You know?
Can you imagine being baptised in the Thames?
That's what it would be like.
Can you imagine?
I mean, the Thames is nicer. Because it's not brown.
It's colder.
It's colder.
How cold's the River John?
I imagine reasonably warm.
It's like...
But it's like the Nile's clean, isn't it? The Nile's beautiful, clean water for some reason.
For some reason.
I'm sure there's a scientific reason.
I imagine it's because Egypt's economy runs off the Nile being beautiful.
I think it's also just the natural, like...
But I suppose it filters itself very well.
I think that's the...
Silt.
I think that's right. Whereas the River Jordan's quite stagnant, if I remember. I was baptised with water from the River Jordan.
Were you?
That my grandfather got, from Jerusalem.
How much do you bring back when you're getting some water in them? Can you get like barrels of it?
It's like a little bottle.
So surely
I don't know if he used it on my cousins though.
But I see. This is the thing. As you know, I'm a crafty businessman.
Yes.
I'd go to the River Jordan with a big barrel and be like, bring it home and be like, look how much water from the River Jordan
that's
I've
silly.
got.
No, see, you're not a crafty businessman because what the actual businessmen in Israel, is it in Israel?
I presume so.
In Israel do is they charge you £10 for this much.
That's
tiny
true.
Amount.
That's true.
Genius because it's holy.
Oh right, yeah, of course. It's like.
Is it?
It's the border.
Oh no!
It's
That's what I feared suddenly when I was like,
"It's the whole West Bank thing." That's
yeah, right.
It's a disputed territory.
Well, let's jump right away from that.
Let's jump away from that.
Let's just yeet
We've
out.
only got 15 minutes left.
How many more facts have you got?
Not many. I've
Oh,
sort
good.
of got
Speed.
sort of got a couple of miracles.
Speed up.
What else do we have?
Speed up,
What
sunshine.
other miracles do we have? You know when I was talking about the feeding of the 5,000?
Yes.
They also have a feeding of the 4,000.
That sounds significantly more lame.
But this is the thing, is that no one... They seem to have happened at the same time. So either...
Who was doing the other one?
But this is the thing. Either one day 5,000
Brian.
people, 5,000 people showed up, got free food, and the next day 4,000
It
people
was
showed
Brian.
up.
It was Brian.
It was
Brian.
or it was Brian.
Always.
Or possibly, and this sounds most likely, is you know when I was saying that Jesus split them into 4 groups?
Yeah.
It's entirely possible that there were only 4,000 people, and the early Christian church were like, "That's not really enough, is it? Just chuck another 1,000 onto the number."
5 is a nicer number.
5 is a nicer number. They're working off Romans,
Yeah.
but like,
Makes sense.
I think the amount of times that the early church just made very, very significant decisions without thinking about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, they didn't. That's why they had to have a whole argument in 300 and whatever it was when
Yeah.
the church schismed.
Well, have you heard the dragon story?
Yeah.
I love the dragon story.
Yeah, Jesus and the...
Yeah, and
Dragon.
he, what is it though? He's like a baby, and he just like
Yeah.
he's busy breastfeeding.
Yeah, and he...
He's like,
But you know, that's like almost identical to Hercules.
yes, which is like,
Or Heraclius.
maybe that's why they got rid of it.
Heracles.
Maybe they were like, guys, I can't have Greek stories in my Bible.
I know. Is it in the Apocrypha?
I think so. I don't know.
Apocrypha, not
Apocrypha.
Apocrypha. Apocrypha.
It's in the big book.
The big book. Is
The
Lilith
extended
in the
edition.
Apocrypha?
Lord of the Rings extended edition.
I want to read the Apocrypha. That's where all the juicy stories are.
How big is it?
It's quite sizable. It's got everything they didn't have in the Bible in it.
Does it also have the stuff in the Bible?
I don't know if it has the Jewish folklores as well. No, it's the additional bit. With a Y. Apocrypha.
There it is. How many pages is it? There's a Wikipedia page for it.
Excellent.
Thanks, Wikipedia.
Thanks,
I
Wikipedia.
feel like we should take a minute to thank Wikipedia for its
Thank
services.
you, Wikipedia, for this series.
So Wikipedia basically held us up.
Except for Jean-Baptiste Belly, which was either entirely useful.
I did one outside Wikipedia reading for this one.
I
So-
had to do so much for Jean-Baptiste Belly.
It was a complicated week.
It was. I think Dick Turpin failed the most. I'm least proud of the Dick Turpin episode.
The Dick Turpin episode.
There was nothing. Everyone knows it all.
There was a horrible history.
Yeah.
We should do people there a horrible history song
I
about.
read the thing and I was like, oh. We don't know a lot about
don't
him
know-
other
yeah.
than what everyone knows.
Yeah.
It's like,
Or at least
oh.
Wikipedia doesn't know.
Yeah.
Apocrypha.
Does it have Lilith in it? Because technically that's... I don't know if it has the Jewish myths as well. Always look
I have no
on
idea.
the bright side
Wikipedia is
of life.
unhelpful. Do you know when like Wikipedia is written by people who are like real into the topic and they've like
Yeah.
they haven't grasped what Wikipedia is for, which is I don't know anything, tell me everything from
Yeah.
the start.
Yeah. I like the Apocrypha though.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
Sounds funky.
Look at that. That's apparently Martin Luther's version.
Ooh.
We should do a week on Martin Luther.
Sorry?
We should do a week on Martin Luther.
Is he not on there?
I don't know. He must be, right? We must do Martin Luther then Martin Luther King. That must have been the like.
Yeah. Luther's wild.
He's an
Luther's
odd
one of
man.
those people that I just don't respect. Not as in like I don't respect, but like
I don't respect the Protestant Reformation.
I don't treat him as like a real person for some reason. In my mind, he is Luther of the Lutheran, and that's it. That's all he did. He's just a symbolic figure. It's like I was telling you the other day. I was writing an essay, and they were talking about this guy Olhafen, and they were like, "Oh yes, his father used to eat lunch with Luther, and at university." And I was like, "Who?" And I was like, "Wait,
Martin.
Luther?" And I was like, "What? He ate?" Like, you know, it's just whack to me.
It's like finding out. I suppose that's like going to university with the Prime Minister at some point.
Yeah, but for some reason it's less weird.
What are you doing?
I'm checking my messages. Don't call me out like this.
Emily's on her phone.
Ba-ba-da-ba-ba.
Right, we've got 10 minutes left and I'm all out of Jesus facts.
Okay, so what are we going to chat about?
How
Do
you
I
think-
have any more Jesus?
I mean, you must do.
I think I've told all the fun stories. Oh, other than he was really, really embarrassed when he turned water into wine.
I have heard this.
Yeah. Because his mum was like, show them what you can do. And he's like, Mum, I don't want to. Beautiful.
I've heard people trying to logic out the water into... Because there's a real determination within a very small part of the internet to come up with rational explanations for all the miracles, to therefore both prove that Jesus wasn't magic, but prove that everything in the Bible happened.
So half invalidate the Christian.
Yes. Yes. I was reading, because I was enjoying myself trying to work it out.
Yes.
And I was just like, one of the guys was like, well, obviously, when it came to the water into wine, they said they'd run out of wine, and it turned out they hadn't. And they went and got more from the cellar.
Yes.
And I was like, do you think that the entire hall would have been like, a miracle, if Jesus had just gone and looked for more wine?
Do you know it's where the phrase "save the best for last" comes from?
No, maybe. I think you've told me at some point.
So the point is that, I mean, anyone knows at a party you start with the good stuff.
Yes.
And then you get to the worst wine.
Yes, that's
and
how
so
it works.
they're all very drunk at this point. Wedding at Cana, there we go. It's not Galilee, it's the wedding at Cana. I got there. It took me an hour, but I got there. So they drink all the good wine. They drink all the bad wine. No wine left. Mary nags Jesus, so he miracles some new wine. And they drink it, and they're like, the ones who don't know that Jesus just miracled it are just like, why did you save the best till last? You should always use the best at the beginning, because now we're too drunk to appreciate how good this wine is. And that's where it comes from.
So, Jesus accidentally made top quality wine, like high quality wine.
Yeah.
And incidentally after that invented a proverb.
Yeah. I mean, there's loads of proverbs in the Bible, like give up the ghost is from the Bible.
How?
Give up the ghost literally means die in the Bible. They use it unironically, and he gave up his ghost. As in, he died. He gave his soul to heaven. Yeah.
Yeet.
Yeah. But we just use it as giving up. Which I think is a bit rough.
I think all idioms, in fact, no, actually not all of them. I reckon about 80% of idioms can be tracked back to the Bible or Shakespeare plays.
There's a lot.
And those are the only
Bible.
two places we get idioms.
Yeah, honestly. There's a lot. I'm trying to think of more examples, but I'm sort of like, when your brain's like,
yeah.
Now
Where
you
does
need
fight fire with fire come from? That sounds biblical.
Possibly. Eye of a needle, obviously.
Yes.
Which I didn't realise was just Jesus speaking. I still don't like it. I still really like Donald Trump. Pay attention, like Shakespeare.
Shakespeare's fight fire.
But because what is it like? It is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than a rich man to get into heaven. Boris.
but this was the thing, is it was like, by rich people it's been taken to be like, oh, he meant the gate, which was called the eye of a needle.
No,
and it's difficult to get camels through it.
Didn't.
And then everyone's been like, well, no, but there was just like, no, you ain't getting in. It's just like, if you're rich, straight to the boiler room of hell.
Well, technically, Jesus is very anti-rich people. I don't think people quite understand.
He's very anti-rich people.
Like when he's like, what is it? He says, a woman who gives a poor woman who gives all of her money is worth much more than a rich man who gives only a percentage. Like, which means Bill Gates screwed. J.K. Rowling screwed.
Never needed. Straight to hell.
I find it interesting.
It's an interesting thing that we managed to like.
I find it interesting how much people hate it and can't comprehend it, in today's capitalist society, where they're like, but I earned this money.
It's mine.
And I'm like, and Jesus is saying, give it back.
Jesus is saying, well done, now spend it on what you need and give the rest to someone else. Yeah. He was a communist.
I was literally about to say, communism.
Back to the episode on Lenin.
Are our colours showing?
I think we managed to get through most of the series without disparaging the government too much.
True.
Apart from that bit that only went live where I moaned about the Conservative Party for 10 minutes.
Tomorrow is the general election, and I encourage you all to vote Labour.
Encourage you all.
Unless you're in a seat where Labour won't win, in which case vote Lib Dem.
Yes. Yes. I encourage you all of it. I've been looking up my MP, and she is the Minister for Disabled People.
Oh, interesting.
And she is blind.
Oh, interesting.
Very interesting. She's very nice.
She's the minister or the shadow minister?
Shadow Minister.
Okay, I was going to say.
She
Because
snuck
if
in.
she was the minister, she still sucks.
She snuck in as a Labour Minister. No,
Yeah.
she's Labour Party.
No, I was taking a test where they don't tell you what party it is. They just tell you what the policies are. Do you know what it came out as?
What?
50% green. I was like, but I can't vote for the Green Party. They won't win.
But this is the thing, is like, I don't hate the Greens.
Well, it turns out the Greens are just the same policies as Labour, but crank it up.
Yeah.
Crank it up. Basic universal income, I got you. And I was like, yeah, basic universal income, I'm here for all of this. And it turns out that was the Green Party.
Yes. Well, this is...
But I'm quite happy to have Labour.
Yeah. Did you see the Brexit Party is going to reform after this? This isn't the end of the Brexit Party. He's going to rename it.
It should be. Have you read their policies?
No, it's
right.
Have you read UKIP's policies recently? It's insane.
What are they?
They're like, I think some of them are genuinely just fascist.
I mean, I was reading the immigration policies, and all of them were like, don't let people in, point system, discriminate, you know? And I was like, can someone let them in? Because they're the ones I want to vote for. Which turned out to be the Green Party. Even the Labour Party
like
was
that
like...
UKIP at this point aren't even doing the Tory thing of pretending that they're not going to privatise the NHS. They're just saying that they are.
Yeah, I know.
They're just being like, well, it would make us a lot of money if we sold it. And we're like...
It's wild. Look... I think the thing is I'm so desperate for the Conservatives to leave that I'm not going to vote for Greens.
We have had...
Do you get what I mean?
We have had so many years of Conservative. I do not remember a
I
Labour government.
I do.
I don't really.
I remember Tony Blair. One of my earliest
Gordon
memories.
Brown.
One of my earliest memories is Gordon Brown. The news was on. My mum had the news on, and Gordon Brown was being driven to Buckingham Palace. And I remember thinking it was a car chase. And being like that he had to like race to get to the
first
Queen
person
first.
to the Queen.
Yeah, first person. And being like, well, he's driving so slowly. Like he's
I've
not
changed
gonna
it.
win.
Right, this is it. This is what we're going to do.
What
happens is that we're going to get 5 cars.
Yeah.
And the more votes you get, the bigger engine we're going to put in the car.
Oh, no.
And then we're going to put the leader in the seat, and it's the first one there. So if Corbyn knows a shortcut, he can get around with a minority government and get in there.
Let's be real. I think Boris Johnson would just run down anyone who's
Boris Johnson has murdered a man.
He'd win that. He'd win that.
He would win that.
That sounds terrifying.
This is when all that thing was like, if Jeremy Corbyn fought Boris Johnson would win. Boris Johnson would he fights dirty. He'd like...
I can't get over the dams and jam thing. Did you hear?
My God,
that was so funny. For those of you who didn't hear, when was it the ITV debates or Channel 4 debates?
Yeah. ITV.
Anyway, and he was like, they were giving each other presents, and Corbyn said something like, I know he likes to read, so I'd give him his manifesto.
No, he said, I know he likes to read, so I'd give him a Christmas carol.
Yes, so
he
he
could
learn.
Scrooge.
Yes, I forgot what it was exactly. And then Boris Johnson was like, well, I know he likes jam, so I'd give him a nice dark dams and jam, trying to be like, look presentable. And Jeremy Corbyn just makes, I make my own. I don't need your jam.
Well, no, but to be fair,
Your Tory jam.
the best thing that came out of that was that when they were like, what's your opinions on the monarchy? And Jeremy Corbyn just flatline was just like, needs a bit of improvement.
Well, yeah.
And he would never have got away with it had the Andrews scandal not happened 2 days later.
Yeah.
Just
Good man.
Managed to win
I am
that.
honestly, Jeremy Corbyn's winning me over. And that's scares me.
I
Because
don't know.
there's part of me that's suspicious.
I don't know.
Very suspicious. Like that whole anti-Semitism
The anti-Semitism
scandal
thing is
worries
not going
me.
away.
It worries me. But then I also wonder, because the media is very horrendous to Jeremy Corbyn.
Sometimes,
I also
yeah.
wonder how much that I've read is actually true.
I don't know.
And I don't know.
I don't know.
But all I can say is that my impression of Jeremy Corbyn right now is a positive one. And it wasn't before. And then I watched that debate and I was like, you've changed my mind, Jez.
And on that bombshell, we have 2 minutes left, so
Excellent.
it's time to
Shall
end.
we stop?
Merry
Christmas.
Merry Christmas. This is the end of season
Everyone.
1. We might be back. Who knows?
Or it might be season 1, part 1.
It might. We're going to go on mid-season break. That's the point.
Yep.
There's going to be nothing for some time, and then we'll be back.
So we can cry.
Yeah, I need to
Over
write
our
an essay.
dissertation.
Yeah, I have to give Christmas presents. Bye.
Bye!